In August 2025, a volcano began to stir. Not in Iceland, not in Yellowstone, but in Russia. Seismographs spiked, the ground trembled, and a choking smell of sulfur filled the air. For the first time in decades, this sleeping giant showed signs of life. And scientists fear this could be the beginning of something much bigger, because if one volcano can threaten a region, what happens when Yellowstone erupts? Yellowstone, a time bomb beneath America. 640,000 years ago, the Yellowstone supervolcano awoke. Rivers of molten rock, burning at 1,200 degrees, swept across the land. For months, the sun disappeared behind a dark curtain. Earthquakes and tsunamis finished what the eruption had started. It sounds like an apocalyptic movie, but this is no fiction. Narrator VO. Around the world, scientists have identified about 20 supervolcanoes. Narrator VO. These are not your typical eruptions. A supervolcano can eject enough ash to change Earth's climate. Narrator VO. Disrupt ecosystems and collapse civilizations. Narrator VO. In 1815, Tambora in Indonesia erupted for 3 days straight. Narrator VO. Over 70,000 people died instantly. Narrator VO. The volcano hurled 175 cubic kilometers of debris into the sky. Narrator VO. Imagine Rhode Island buried under 57 meters of ash. Narrator VO. Even Singapore would vanish under a 26-meter blanket. Narrator VO. The ash plume shot 43 kilometers high, 4 times higher than a Boeing 747 flies. Narrator VO. Winds carried volcanic gases around the globe, triggering an anti-greenhouse effect. Crops failed, millions starved. Narrator VO. Scientists compare Tambora's fury to the energy of 2 million atomic bombs. Narrator VO. In 1883, Krakatoa erupted. The island tore itself apart. Narrator VO. It produced the loudest sound ever recorded, heard across vast distances. Narrator VO. Heard across 10% of the Earth's surface. Narrator VO. Tsunamis up to 41 meters high obliterated coastal settlements. Narrator VO. 36,000 people perished. Narrator VO. For months, people reported bizarre glowing sunsets, caused by volcanic dust still lingering in the skies. Narrator VO. Go back 74,000 years. The Toba supervolcano exploded with a force unlike anything in recorded history. Narrator VO. Its VEI was 8, the maximum. Narrator VO. Over 1,000 cubic kilometers of material blanketed the Earth. Narrator VO. The eruption triggered a volcanic winter lasting 6 to 10 years. Narrator VO. Global temperatures plunged by 10 degrees Celsius. Narrator VO. Populations of early humans nearly vanished. Only small groups survived. Narrator VO. Archaeologists believe this bottleneck shaped human history. Narrator VO. In 1912, Alaska, Nova Rupta erupted, darkening skies for days and poisoning water. Narrator VO. Roofs collapsed, water supplies were contaminated. Narrator VO. Mount Pektu in 946 AD released vast amounts of sulfur. Narrator VO. If it erupted today, North Korea could vanish. Narrator VO. China, South Korea, and Japan would face mass death, poisoned water, and acid rain. Narrator VO. Volcanoes still remind us of their power. Narrator VO. In 2018, Anak Krakatau collapsed, triggering a deadly tsunami. Narrator VO. In 2021, Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha sent a plume 56 kilometers into the sky, visible from space. Narrator VO. The blast was heard thousands of kilometers away. Narrator VO. If these smaller eruptions can shake the planet, imagine Yellowstone. Narrator VO. Yellowstone has shown troubling signs. Narrator VO. Geysers like Steamboat have changed their behavior. Narrator VO. The ground has begun to rise and fall unnaturally, hinting at magma shifting below. Narrator VO. For the first time in decades, this sleeping giant showed signs of life. Narrator VO. And scientists fear this could be the beginning of something much bigger. Narrator VO. History has already given us terrifying previews. Narrator VO. Could humanity survive if Yellowstone woke? Narrator VO. What would happen minute by minute, day by day? Narrator VO. The initial impact would be catastrophic and immediate. Narrator VO. Within minutes, shockwaves would flatten everything within 100 kilometers. Narrator VO. This is what a supervolcano looks like in slow motion. Narrator VO. Part 3, Yellowstone Awakens. If Yellowstone erupts within minutes, shockwaves flatten everything within 100 kilometers. Buildings, infrastructure, and people would be swept away in an instant. Ash clouds would rise into the mesosphere, visible from space, an airborne blanket that could circle the planet. Poisonous gases, arsenic, mercury, sulfur, would rain down across America. Water supplies would be fouled, crops poisoned, and air unbreathable in many regions. Ash, 6 times heavier than snow, would collapse roofs, disable cars, planes, and power grids. Air travel would halt, supply lines would break, forests would ignite from volcanic lightning, rivers would turn to toxic mudflows sweeping away towns. 500,000 could die in the initial impact zone. Rescue would be near impossible at scale. Within a week, ash would spread across North America. Within months, Europe could be under its shadow. Crops would fail, livestock would die, famine would spread. This would likely be the worst famine in human history. And here's the nightmare scenario. One supervolcano can trigger earthquakes strong enough to wake others. A chain reaction of eruptions could plunge Earth into decades of volcanic winter. It's not just Yellowstone, it's all of them. Global trade would collapse. Societies could fracture. Could we survive? History shows human resilience, but supervolcanoes test the limits. Survival depends on preparation, food stores, clean water, power, and basic medicine. But logistics break under continental-scale ash and climate collapse. Models show food production could drop dramatically for years. Yellowstone may only be sleeping, waiting for its moment. The question is not if it will erupt, but when. When that day comes, who will survive? Subscribe for more deep dives. Sources and further reading in the description.